Hey everybody, it is late at night and I am Norman. The idea of a Grail watch isn't necessarily the story of scraping together copious amounts of money to buy a watch. The factors that make up a Grail watch could be exclusivity of numbers as opposed to price. Either way, it should be extremely difficult for you to obtain it, otherwise you would already have it. I have two Grail watches, one that is elusive because of its price, and another that is simply elusive. Tonight we're going to talk about both of those, so let us begin. At some point in the life of every watch nerd, we get hooked. Perhaps we were gifted a watch, or we saw a watch in a movie, or maybe we've always been intrigued by watches, but at one point stumbled upon a piece that transformed us from being watch curious into full-blown watch nerd. For me, there are a few key inspirations that led me to where I am today. I've always been a watch curious person. I mean, I've owned weird space-age looking watches, steampunk pieces, gold-tone fossils, cheap gas station digital watches, and a gigantic cruise ship Invicta. But they were always just cool-looking things to me. I was never interested in learning anything about watches, I just thought they looked cool. Hilariously, my first step toward watch nerddom came from encountering a t-shirt in a secondhand store. It was a BioShock t-shirt with a Big Daddy on it. My imagination was sparked. I knew nothing about the video game, but was immediately obsessed with all things nautical. I dove headfirst into old sailors' journals from the 1800s. I read all the works of Melville. I enrolled in a sailing course and began to crew in sailboat races out of a local marina. At that point in time, I decided I should probably get myself a proper dive watch, which at that point in time meant a mall jewelry store citizen. I learned a little bit more about watches and decided I wanted a classic diver, which at that point meant a Seiko SKX 007. Then it happened. I crossed over and became full-on watch nerd. So the hunt for Moby Dick began. Like many of you, I'm always looking to improve my collection and keeping my eyes open for pieces that I have to have. And of course, always on the lookout for the Grail watch, Moby Dick himself, that one piece that is worth selling off others for, and scraping and saving and waiting for, the pinnacle of all watches. Moby Dick is a great analogy because we obsess over the elusive beast that we are hunting. In time, I moved away from dive watches being smitten by dress watches, and my prized piece was the Calatrava-ish Christopher Ward Malvern. It is a minimal, elegant, full-on dress watch, and my introduction to the Peugeot 7001. However, being an extremely picky person, there weren't many other dress watches that caught my eye. At least not any that were even remotely attainable to me. Then I encountered tank watches, or to be more precise, the king of tank watches, the Cartier tank. And my interest was further piqued when I read about Andy Warhol's love of the wristwatches. Tanks are like the rebels of dress watches. They eschew traditional case shapes for a bold rectangular departure. In exploring my new obsession, I finally encountered the Reverso, and an obtainable homage to the Cartier tank Americaine, and I bought one, and I love it to this day. In fact, I just wrapped up a video where I highlighted it, the Longines Dolce Vita. I knew a tank was my Grail watch, but which one? I decided if I went with the Cartier, I would have to part ways with the Dolce Vita, and go without it for long enough so that the Americain felt like a new design to me. So I decided to hang on to the Longines and go for the Watch Nerds watch brand, JLC. So the Reverso it is. So I began saving for it, and not saving for it, adding a Nomos dress watch to the collection, as well as another Bauhaus powerhouse, the Stova Antia, among others. And I fell in love again with the non-tank dress watches, namely pieces from a certain brand that are attainable price-wise, but extremely exclusive numbers-wise, Kurono Tokyo. Browsing their site one day, I went to their pre-order page and saw my favorite design, the Grand Akane, and I nearly liquidated the Reverso fund to buy it before realizing that it was there but sold out. At that time I realized I have 2 Grail watches. It was time to buckle down. I would redouble my efforts to obtain the Reverso, and then I would hunt the far more elusive Kurono. All this to point out that cost isn't necessarily what makes a watch a Grail. It could be any number of factors, but whatever those are, a Grail watch isn't something that is simply chosen and purchased. Like Moby Dick, it must be something that eludes our harpoons and taunts us. Otherwise, it would simply be a prized piece that we already own. Thanks for watching.